no one's going to come tell you, hey, this is not a good term sheet, right? They're going to try to in the game. Like, what game are you playing? What game are they playing? Everyone has something in it for them, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, outside of and even when we were first forming the company together, like we would be in the room together. And I remember the lawyer that we used at the time was like, this is a bit unusual because I was like, okay, if Wilfred screws up, what are the bad lever preferences?
Yeah.
Like Wilfred was like, if Christian embezzles money, what is that? So we
came out that you don't even have as much money as you thought you were. So you're operating from this point of like, I hear like at the end of the day, it's your company, it's your books. You gotta also have some stake in that part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of angles that you can get screwed being a founder is insane. Yeah. This was before AudioMob when I was trying to start something off and I was like, oh, I hate finance. I'll give it to another guy. Yeah. And then when something screwed up, it's like, I don't know where to look or what screwed up. So it's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. And same thing. Right? And so, and that I think that's what people don't talk about. Yeah. And I mean, I'd also throw it on the other side where there's very few investors who will try to help you because at the end of it, they're deploying money. They also have to make money for their fund. No one's going to come tell you, hey, this is not a good term sheet, right? They're going to try to get terms that favor them or the fund because that is at the end of the day their job. I'm not saying that's all investors, but yes, you also have to understand that side of the business of startups in the game. Like, what game are you playing? What game are they playing? Everyone has something in it for them, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, outside of the fairy tales, I was reading not fairy tales because it existed, right? All the founders that like Scale AI, etc. But there is one thing that happened. So I got so lucky, and it is lucky, with our first investor. They're called Supernode Global. Shout out to Michael and Gina. Best investors that we've ever had, right? I'm talking about like the nice, actually founder-friendly investors that, when the world caved in after we just got $1 million from them 3 months later, okay, here's an extra 300K, go launch another round. Like, they are really, really supportive. And in terms of like, they'll tell us like about, whether terms are fair or not. And we eventually found out that they were being, honest. So we got very, very lucky with our first investors. But what you said is completely right. Like, what investors will try and do is they'll try and trigger a due diligence round. They'll, oh yeah, what's your runway? Oh, what's your revenue? Okay, great. Let's do due diligence for 2 to 3 months. Let's eat into your runway. Oh, do you want a 2x liquidity pref or 3x? So what I learned is that you have to always assume the worst of the other party, investors, your clients, etc. And that's not like an ego thing, and they won't really get in their feelings because, again, it's very logical. Everyone is trying to get the best for them in a transaction. You assume the worst of the other party and approach emotionlessly and very logically, and you get the best deal. I mean, me and Wilfred, right? I mean, it's like we're a married couple. Like, I talk to him every single day, like more than, my girlfriend or whatever, right? Same for him. And we're, very good friends. And even when we were first forming the company together, like we would be in the room together. And I remember the lawyer that we used at the time was like, this is a bit unusual. I've never been in this situation before. Because I was like, okay, if Wilfred screws up, what are the bad lever preferences? Like Wilfred was like, if Christian embezzles money, what is that? So we were like going really in, so we really understood what situations we had to prepare for.
100%.
Because again, we know we're very honorable founders and we'll never like screw each other over like you read about online. But you've always got to assume in a negotiation that even if you're friends, you're not friends, you are doing a transaction. As long as founders kind of follow that approach with investors and don't fall for the whole honeypotting, we're founder friendly. I agree. And you know what? I agree with the reality that a lot of founders fall into that trap. But again, it's going to sound harsh, but it's true. Yeah. Not everyone's meant to be a founder.
100%.
So you're saying that you're going to sacrifice everything and not read the legals?
Yeah.
Like the fuck? Like, no. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, me and Wilfred, we're kind of ruthlessly logical, right? And for us, it was like, okay, we have 100-page legal document. This was our first negotiation. I have no idea what half this shit means. Yeah. So I remember I used a service called Seed Legals, London-based legal company. And they had amazing blogs. I think they still have them actually, where it explained all of the different legal terminology and processes for a full fundraise. So I spent 2 weeks reading everything, absolutely everything, talking about hundreds of pages of stuff. And I got skilled up very, very quickly. And anything I didn't understand, I asked the lawyer that we used at the time. And now you have ChatGPT. So there's no excuse.
100%.
There is no excuse. Put the contract in and then literally have an interview with an AI about what you don't understand.
100%.
And I'm sorry, like if you're a founder that just like gets excited and $1 million, let me sign the contract and get this done quickly, then you ain't gonna last long, unfortunately.
Yeah, I 100% agree, right? And I think there's so many aspects again to when you go online and you want to do entrepreneurship, all these people have have opinions on how to do it and how to raise, and here's how to get a meeting with a VC, and here's how to do this. No one tells you need to have some idea of financing and accounting because you're running a company and you can't necessarily afford a really good accounting and bookkeeper right out the door. Even if you do, you got to cross-check and make sure that they're not, doing shit that's going to affect you or the company or runway. I don't know where I read this. Maybe it is a LinkedIn post. Maybe it was someone I know who was texting me something. But their accountant was using outdated software. So it looked like they were making $5 million a year, but they were really only making $2.5 million a year. And it was just an accountant mistake for whatever reason, or just incompetent accountant. But the founder was relying on these books and the numbers that they were being given. Didn't cross-check even once, didn't do anything. And when push came to shove of like, okay, we need to move some money around or we need to like rebalance our books, it came out that you don't even have as much money as you thought you were. So you're operating from this point of like, here's what my company's doing, but in reality, you don't have that money to spend. And so it just puts you in a really bad situation. And I think founders grossly underestimate your product's important, your market's important, what you're doing is important, but you should spend at least 5 to 10% of your time and skill set learning finance, learning legal, learning HR, learning how to hire and fire people, because truly that's what builds a good business. Your product, tech, and market is probably the core of your business, but there's all these parallel parts of the business that you got to understand, and as a leader you're in charge of. You can't just say, oh, here's my accountant, go talk to him. Like at the end of the day, it's your company, it's your books. You gotta also have some stake in that part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amount of angles that you can get screwed being a founder is insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason is, as you mentioned, if you are, really good product guy or really good CTO and you're the tech guy, that's your founder thing, right? And someone comes and screws your marketing, something leaks, oh, you get sued or something, right?
Yeah.
Or in your finances, right? Like you just mentioned, that can also screw you over. And then your investors are going to be furious with you, the founder,
yes,
not the accountant, because everything as a founder is your fault,
yes,
even if it's not, right? And I find that, I've always said to my investors that internal and new ones coming in, that our unfair advantage is that my co-founder Wilfred is a CTO, but he can pitch as good as I can. So he can do a bit of everything. Don't get me wrong, I'm a more technical CEO than what is normal, I guess. Taught myself the code, etc., etc. But, we've both thrown our hat in the rings in terms of being the technical guy, being the product guy, being marketing, HR, finance, etc. And that is so, so important because you are eventually going to have to pull apart your business. You will eventually have to restructure it when the world goes to shit, etc. And you will have to optimize very, very quickly everything. Now, the fire that was put under me and Wilfred's asses was in 2020, where we had no option. We had to do it. It wasn't a bull run where, things were going fine and, I was working on the revenues, working on the product. We both had to work on everything to understand exactly how to completely shift the business to get out of the pandemic when there was no revenue on the planet that we could get access to. So in terms of like my lived experience, that was actually beneficial to force me to learn that stuff. But in general, I think every founder needs to, the term's called founder mode or something, where, you basically have to be on top of everything.
Yeah.
That's very, very critical, I think, for at least either your first 5 years or before your Series B, until you can, afford the $250,000 to $300,000 C level to kind of, give the business to. 100%. But even then, you're still going to need to,
unless this is a trusted person you're putting in, to your point, you still got to have an idea of what's happening, right? As a founder of a company, you can never say, oh, talk to my CFO for the numbers. You should have some idea of the numbers. Yes, if someone wants to dive into like nitty gritty, you can pull someone in. But at the core of it, you should have an idea or understanding of every part of the business. You can't just hand it off and be like, oh, here's my marketing guy. Go ask him what our strategy is. Like,
you can't
it just doesn't make sense,
right? I mean,
100%.
It has to be built. And don't get me wrong, I made this mistake. This was before AudioMob when I was trying to start something off. And I'm like, oh, I hate finance. Oh, I'll give it to another guy. And then when something screwed up, it's like, I don't know where to look for what screwed up. So it's so true.
And same thing, right? So I work with a lot of founders, help them do product tech in like 0 to 1, 1 to 2. Every time I talk to a founder, I'm like, maybe I'm your solution for the next 12 to 18 months to get you to a point where you have enough either revenue, cash, or you're going to raise to hire your team. But I never want to be your full-time team. I think it doesn't